Welcome back to the Magnetic Growth Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Koenrad, a man helping to run business development for one of the industry's fastest growing exchanges, Bitget. Bitget ranks in the top 15 exchanges on CoinMarketCap with over $2 billion of daily trading volume. But I don't believe it was always like this, especially when Koenrad first joined Bitget in 2022. So in this podcast, we're going to talk about effective business development in the Web3 world, examining a little bit of Bitget's growth, and also learn more about what it looks like to take an exchange to the masses in this field. Koenrad, how are you?
Hey man, good, been good. Thanks for getting me on. I'm excited about it.
Perfect. Always the first question, what are your current thoughts on the market at the moment?
Well, I wish I had more fiat right now to put it in. So I think people who are worried right now don't. Well, no financial advice, but I'm definitely buying this dip, and especially the altcoins. Like I think Bitcoin dominance is at pretty high right now, so it dips a little bit, and then altcoins go down. But if you trust in a project, you've been following it for a while, now you get a 30-40% discount. It's perfect. So I don't mind. I'm not worried about it at all. So I think it's never only up, but if you've been in a few cycles, been in it for 7 years, you kind of read the signals and the stuff like that. And this bear market is not on the menu for now.
Great. I like the positivity. It's always a good place to start. And as you mentioned, you've been around a little while now. You joined Bitget in 2022, I believe.
Yeah.
Why did you join Bitget in the first place? How did that come about?
I have to say it was a bit random. So I was working with some smaller projects as well. This is what I give to people listening, viewing this. If you want to find a job in the space, there's room for everybody, even if you don't have to be a developer and stuff like that. And I was always like looking to be connected in the space since I love it. Like I used to watch YouTube videos all day about what's going on, what this tech, how it goes, and you can learn yourself so much about it. And I was working in sales communication and never really thought as BD as a job that you could do. I always thought you have to be a developer or some kind of stuff in this space. But so I pinned my LinkedIn a little bit, updated it to working in crypto since I was doing some community management for Etherisk, cool project by the way. But so they contacted me, and I have to say back then I wasn't really aware of what Bitget was or what they did. I was like, okay, this is another exchange. They were already quite big in Asia though. So they do, I think it's still kind of the same, top 3, top 4 futures volume. So they really have good volume going, but in Europe, we were still at 0. So they contacted me about that to enter the market in Europe. And from this perspective, like being community manager, this kind of stuff, it seemed like a logical next step, and I really like it. It's definitely more my vibe than handling community and stuff like that. So it's been a fun road.
Awesome. So you joined Bitget, and they were mainly in the Asian market, and your responsibility almost was to bring Bitget into the European market. So between 2022, when you initially onboarded with Bitget, to now, what's that growth look like? How has your entrance to Europe gone? And what are kind of the key highlights in terms of the change of the business since you joined?
So back then we were also in the company. There were 300 people working there. Now there's around 1,500, if I'm not wrong. So we literally like 5x in the last 2 years. So the growth has been magnificent. I think how they approach it is that they have some good incentives, are really working hard on getting new tech. Like we were the first to do copy trading, also USDT margin that didn't exist back then, 2018. So they're pretty innovative. And having that as perspective, like I worked in sales, and if you believe in a project or a product that you're selling, then it's a lot easier. So I think we were a good next step. On Binance was already there. People had an account there, some other smaller exchanges, but we really positioned ourselves as a good go-to exchange where people actually make an account and they stay. Everybody has a couple of accounts with different exchanges, but since we're, like I said, pretty innovative, have a good UI, so people liked it, and I think that really caught on. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, 5x in the last years, like doing pretty well, and I think there's still a lot of room for growth there.
Yeah, there's definitely a few things that are unique with Bitget's approach to growth. So number one, you touched on it, is product-led growth in terms of the different offerings that you can provide to your user base that other exchanges don't provide. So you mentioned copy trading as one of those elements. And again, there are a lot of exchanges in play. So being able to differentiate at a product level can, help growth quite massively.
Definitely.
The second side, which is something I wanted to talk to you about, is I recently set up a Bitget account, and I mean, your activation. So whenever we look at product led growth, so we have like a framework at Magnet. So marketing led growth, product led growth, business led growth, asset led growth, community led growth. That second side, the product led growth. So you've made me aware, you've acquired me as a user, and then we move into product led growth on the activation side. And you have a lot of activation tactics in play. So you have I think it's 1,000 USDT bonus in play. I'm then constantly reminded that through email communication. Like, you have a real tight activation funnel to try and get people to actively start using the product. Your approach isn't just let's get loads of signups. With a lot of exchanges, they might say, "Oh, we've got 1.5 million users," as an example, when their activity is actually, or active user base might be 5,000 people. You guys put a lot of time into trying to activate people and actually bring the value out of the clients. So my question to you is, what inspired Bitget's focus on that product-led growth side? Like, and have you seen an uptake in growth since implementing measures like that?
I think it's definitely a good thing to realize what you offer as a product. Like you said, there's tons of exchanges out there, but which one do you want to use? So having your main focus to know what differentiates you from other exchanges, to say, yeah, the copy trading, we were the first to offer that, or crypto copy trading. And now there's a lot of exchanges also doing that. So I think we were first mover advantage, and to see that others are doing that as well means that you have to do something right. And to keep them at the exchange and keep them staying there is, I think that's the main part of having an exchange. You don't want your people to leave, so we focus a lot on being innovative. Like in the bear market, we implemented grid trading, so you can even still make money while not actively trading. You just set your bots up. You can even make your own algorithms and stuff like that. Sell that on our exchange. Like, if you have a good tactic running, you can offer that to other people as well. The copy trading. We also have like our kind of social element to it, where people can post about their trades, their thoughts about the market. So I think that's very interesting and a good thing that they did, where if you have people staying at the exchange, it's like website viewing. Like, the amount of time people stay on the website, it's more interesting for them. And then they like the user interface, working in that, make it as easy as possible to use. And also make it fun, like do some cool events, some cool initiatives. So we partnered with Messi. I think that also really helped in our growth, to make us go from another Asian exchange to like, okay, these guys are legit. We have the second largest safety fund in the space after Binance. So these kind of metrics, all putting them in place where people go like, okay, I like the user interface. others can copy it as well. But we have these other stuff, the innovation, and that definitely adds to why people come to our exchange and why they also stay there.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I love that, because another key stage of product led growth is retention, and you mentioned a few things there. The first one was creating like a one stop shop, so users of Bitget do not need to go to two or three other exchanges to fulfill their needs. You're offering everything through the development of your product. The second big point you mentioned was about the working with Messi, and how much that has had an effect potentially on the way people view Bitget, because it's almost like a branding hack, right? It's like we're not just Bitget, we're working with some of the most famous people in the world that are putting their name and their brand to us. So I think that definitely has a toll on people's assumptions around the exchange. So yeah, just I want to focus on that point a little bit, like kind of from when you brought Messi into the fold. I don't know whether the right word, sponsorship or partnership with Messi, whatever it might be. Like when did you bring that about, and what effect have you seen on your growth since starting to work with Messi?
Um, it's hard to just put it on his, the partnership that we have to put our growth only to that, but it definitely legitimizes a lot to the business. He has his mindset, how he works. Like the thing is like Binance has the Argentinian team. They have what's
Ronaldo.
his name? They have Ronaldo, but we have the goat. Like we signed them, or we had our corporation partnership like 3 months, 4 months before the World Cup. So it's always kind of a bet you have to make. But having this guy already, it doesn't matter if they would win or lose. Having them win and him being a star player of the of the World Cup also definitely adds to it. But in the end, we would have been happy to have him on board anyway. But yeah, we definitely see a lot of growth in that. And like I said, if you try to differentiate yourself with cool stuff in place where people actually like the exchange, decide to stay. But if they see it from a perspective where they not know Bitget yet, and you have this guy, then it legitimizes a lot, and people are definitely it invokes interest as well. They go like, okay, so these guys have this guy, it must be a good exchange. It is. So it definitely incentivizes them to actually check it out, and then they see that it's actually a really cool exchange, that we are pretty innovative, and they stay for that. So
Sure.
but yeah, we're really happy about the partnership that we're we're having, and yeah, it's been fun to work with him.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that stands out to me is in marketing-led growth, we have in our model, we have awareness and acquisition. And on that initial kind of how do you make people aware of your exchange in your case, one of the modules within that stage of growth is branding and credibility. Because when people see you for the first time, they want to be able to build an element of trust with your brand. And one of the strongest ways to do that is by collaborating with well-known brands, or in this case, I mean, Messi is a brand, right?
He is a
Let's get that
brand, yeah,
clear.
yeah, yeah.
But
True.
yeah, well-known people, well-known brands, and I thought it was really interesting. I had to bring it up because it's something that we've seen, like you said, Binance do as an exchange by working with Ronaldo, and I wanted to see what the first-hand kind of effects were. And I suppose you hit the nail on the head with when it comes to timing. I mean, you started working with Messi
Yes.
just before the World Cup, so exposure would have been at its highest, which would have increased your awareness around that period. So no, it's really awesome, man. It's really awesome. And again, you guys do things a bit differently. I think that's the kind of trend coming from this talk so far. Whether it's the focus that you put on product led growth, whether it's how you leverage certain tools within awareness of marketing led growth, is really awesome to see. And again, your role at Bitget, you work quite heavily in the business development angle. And
Correct.
are there any strategies that you guys have used on the business development side that has helped Bitget get to where it is today?
I can just say this from a personal level, and how I like to work with people is that I love the personal approach. And that's also what I mentioned earlier, going from the community where you're just a name in the chat to a person that you see online, you can talk to. I love this, like having a long-term relationship, cooperation with people. It's so much fun to work in this space, and especially with people that you don't have to just have one deal with, but that you can grow together. And that's from that perspective is, so maybe having a short recap on what BD involves is that you work with influencers, institutional traders. So they set up an affiliate link, and then it's sometimes affiliates has a negative connotation to it, but I don't really get the whole negative connotation, since if you like someone's content, if he's trading on that exchange, if it's a nice exchange, why not use their ref link? Like, we have some extra perks in place for people using the ref links. Like, you support the content creator, influencer. So there's some really cool people in that space, and like I said, I love working like this, where you can have an ongoing partnership relationship with these people, where they become friends as well. So it's nice where you can. So like we met up in Dubai. Like, I have a couple of traders there. Some of them are in South Africa, like the Crypto Banter team. So it's nice to have friends all around the world. You work with them, but like I said, it's more also on a personal level. So I think that approach really works, where you just keep at it. You meet them in person, you see them have this personal bond, and I think then it comes down to, of course you have to have, like, the affiliates, these kind of deals in place. But if it's just because of that, then some people might even pick you because it's a nice approach. They know you're there. They know they can have a normal talk with you, and somebody else can maybe offer you something better. But if they like this personal approach and have an ongoing deal, then it works. And I think, from speaking from my personal experience, that works as well. So you can be like a shark to go for the bigger deals, but if you work in the long run, this personal level always pays off.
Yeah, I love that. I love, like you said, there's two things there. The referral program at Bitget is a big driver of traffic, right?
Yeah, I think that's any exchange kind of works like that. That brings in, that's how exchanges work. It incentivizes people to actually work together with you, where you work on a win-win collaboration. Like, you can grow together, and to see that's where people actually. I've seen channels grow so much, and like I said, we as an exchange also did 5x in the last 2 years. So it's fun to see where people are doing well, and you as well, so you can actually grow together. And in crypto they say, like, let's all make it together, or we're all going to make it together, and I'm all up for that. So it's a funny thing about this.
It's interesting because on our kind of last stage of growth, community-led growth, one of the stages is referral. And that's what we're talking about now. And like you mentioned, so many of your competitors, other exchanges, have referral programs. But what makes yours unique is, like you said, anyone can put the same deal together and say, oh, we'll give you 10% of this or 20% of that or this fee or whatever it might be. But the personal relationship side, the investment that you personally make and your team personally make in creating a relationship with someone can directly impact the performance that they have as an affiliate, and therefore the traffic that they bring to your exchange, right?
Yeah, and from this perspective, we have our standards events, but we also like to work with the guys that, I said, the affiliates, the influencers, like to know them, to get to know them, what their community wants, and like, say, set up a special events. If this guy is now like really hardcore and this kind of token, the whole community is around it, they like this, do a special incentivized event around that. So that's, like I said, that it's a win-win for everybody. So the community likes it, guide likes it. So it's not just the standard events. Like, we kind of make them personal, make them exclusive. And coming from this perspective, like I said, if you have an ongoing relationship, you get to know the guy or girl, get to work with them, and also understand what their content is, what they bring, and work with them on growing together. And yeah, I think that definitely differentiates you from just sending out like, okay, we have these events, send them to all the guys you have, and that's it. Because it could work for a couple of them, but not all of them in general. And I think personal approach also for people bringing out content, you kind of want to stand out, because if you bring the same content, yeah, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, no, I think it's an important point to make in terms of making the referrer or your new partner feel valued by being very applicable to their circumstance. In terms of, like you mentioned, this is their audience. This event we're running is perfect for them. It can provide value to their community, or this offer or promotion that we're running will really work well for this person and this partner and referrer. And yeah, being able to customize everything for them. So yeah, I really do like that approach. Moving on, so we spoke a little bit about the current business development efforts that you have going on and that have worked in the past. Is there anything that you're looking to do moving forward from a business development angle that you think might have a lot of success based on the way that the market's shaping up?
Definitely, I think it's a more difficult approach, since as I said, we have our standard collaborations, this kind of stuff, and now you see a lot of people slacking off a bit, since they might be trading themselves and they're doing well, so they're not too eager to start a new collaboration or to work with you. So it's definitely a lot harder right now to put in the effort to actually work with the people and to get them on board. And yeah, like I said, the personal approach definitely works on that as well, since in this market where everybody's doing well, they're trading, they're making money. So why you then? And then from that perspective, I think it's nice to have that personal approach where they go like, okay, I like you as a person. Let's see what we can do. But you do notice a difference in bear market compared to bull market. So I think anyone who has a business can definitely relate, or it becomes a lot easier to bring it in, or it becomes a lot harder, because yeah, there's a lot more people who are actually on the on the competitive lookout.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, moving forward outside of the market, I think the most important thing you mentioned is your business development approach will change based on whether we're in a bear market or whether we're in a bull market. And I think it's important that people realize that regardless to what what you're doing as a company, you have to factor in what is happening in the wider landscape and how that affects your growth at that certain period of time, right? So yes, it's a super important point to bring up. And if you were, say, for example, starting out new exchange, I'm not saying that you are, but I don't know, brand new exchange offers you the most amazing business development gig possible, and they want you to go and head that up for them. What are you going to do? Like, what are your first couple of strategies going to be? Where's your focus going to be? Like, yeah, give it to me. If you're in that position, what's Koenrad doing?
I think to start over, because it would be a really hard thing. So after 2 years and a half, like, you kind of know how it goes, but especially in the beginning, it's a lot of work to kind of cold calling to like they don't know you yet, and now I know a lot of people, they know me, so it would be a lot easier to start off. But I think
Mhm.
from an exchange kind of perspective, you need innovation, and this like the whole affiliates programs, yes, people work like that, and it will probably work like that for a couple of years. But I do believe in differentiation and stuff that also piques me on like how could I do this? And like I said in the beginning, if like as a salesperson, if you believe in the product, it's easy to sell. Well, you don't even have to sell it. Like if you believe it, that's what you talk about. So for a new exchange, I think it's yeah, to bring something extra to the gig, like maybe some other incentives where they feel part of the exchange instead of just working with the exchange. I think that could be a really big deal, especially if you go from centralized decentralized exchanges where people are part of a DAO, this kind of stuff where you maybe implement the token as part of your grand business and have them also have maybe a say in how things or what gets implemented, not just let them run the exchange, but say like, hey guys, what do you want? And listen to them. Like we do that as well as an exchange. Listen to your users. It's I think one of the most important things. Like if users don't like a feature or they want something changed, listen to them, because if they don't like it, they're gonna leave. But for new exchanges, I think it's there's definitely some room for more. But yeah, make it interesting. Just bring some new features, new products. Yeah, try to be bold. So because you want to stand out, and I think with that, maybe working with people who have a large outreach, you really want to get them involved and not give the standard kind of incentive as other people have. So that could, but yeah, I haven't really put my thought in that much since having or owning an exchange is not really on the bucket list yet. Who
There were
knows?
some really good points in there. There were some really, really good points. The first thing is, like you mentioned, because you already have a network, it would be much easier for you to go and create traction. And especially anyone who's in the business development side, invest in building that network, because whether you're in a role that's your forever role or something might change later on, that network can be an aid to getting you kickstarted and kickstarting the growth of whatever new project that you're coming into. And
Definitely.
also, you mentioned as well, working with people who have followings, right? And again, KOLs are a massive marketing channel in this space, arguably the biggest and most impactful. So again, working with some of those guys to spread the word directly to your target user base. I thought that was another key point. And then finally, which has again been a pretty big theme of this talk, is product innovation. Bring in something new to the market that interests people, because even if you have a relationship with them, unless you can offer something that's new and unique, you might not be successful. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of value
Yeah.
there for anyone who's looking to get started in business development. Build your network, connect with people with big audiences, and whatever you're working on, make sure that there is a unique aspect, so you're not going to sound like every other guy trying to reach out to them to do business with them.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's I think like a common denominator in crypto, like it moves so fast. Like I count my years working in crypto, I count it as dog years, 7 years in one. Like you can actually like the cycles you go through, how fast everything moves, the innovation. So you don't want to get left behind selling a product that's already been done or something that's been around for 7 years and just do the same. Like you want to build together with now with the whole ZK stuff, like all the new stuff, like I find it mind blowing, like the kind of brain power that works in the space. And
Mhm.
as an exchange, it's still an old school kind of thing. Like it's exchange has been around for ages, but a crypto exchange and that you want to kind of stand out for that and move along with how fast the crypto space evolves.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I suppose it's logical now to flip the coin. look at the other side. What are like the biggest pitfalls that a project can make when it comes to business development? What are the things that they could do to harm their growth? Yeah, like you've experimented a lot over the last couple of years. There's probably things that you've done, right, that haven't worked and have maybe had repercussions. That's really like the point of this question. Like, what should people avoid doing?
Um, I think, like I said, the personal approach, but also have clear goals and get a clear contracts set up, because I think I'm getting 35 right now, but what I just realized in the last 2 years is expectation management. Like, it's really important to set that right. And you can have a good talk with somebody and your expectations kind of align, but you never know what it is. So put some stuff on paper. That's really important. So they realize what you expect, what they expect, and then you can work from there. Because if two people agree on that, and it kind of aligns, then it's perfect. But sometimes you talk to somebody and they go like, okay, yes, I feel you, I see you, you think you're on the same level, but then when it comes down to the business, like, it's not really. And they go like, okay, so I thought you expected this and this is good. And so I think it's definitely good to align yourself and to also put it on paper, so it has some good metrics. And that's working in crypto with smart contracts and all of that, so it's quite easy. But from a personal approach, if you work with that on these kind of deals where you just talk on a party, talk on an event, and kind of make these deals right there, like put them on paper so you can still both agree on that and move forward on that. I think that's very important. And also in crypto, what I see with other events, tokens, or projects that want to get listed, like, you need to focus on growth, but don't burn yourself on token price, and like, keep building. And I think if you build it, they will come, that's what they say. So I think that's a very important metric, to not focus on that too much from the beginning. Of course you want it, so it's a hard thing to yeah, from my perspective, to say how much and how you need to do this. But you definitely need to get the hype going and need to be interesting, but don't put everything up front from the beginning, because otherwise it comes back to the expectation management. People expect it too much, they will leave. Or so it's good to always kind of align that to what you can also provide and to make happen.
Awesome. Expectations. Setting out expectations clearly.
Yeah,
That's the biggest advantage, but the disadvantage and pitfall is not having clear expectations and being aligned.
I think
Yeah,
so. Yeah.
that's pretty good. Yeah, look, we've spoke a lot about exchange-based growth and your journey. The last part of this, I want to talk about projects. How do exchanges help projects? Because if there's founders listening to this or builders thinking, maybe we're listed on a DEX at the moment, what are the advantages to a project listing on a centralized exchange like Bitget? What can you do for the growth of a project?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of decentralization as well, but I think people tend to forget that. I think by now there's 500 million people, kind of like that. I think I did some research, but that's almost half a year ago. But 500 million in people who own crypto, so to say. So that might even be an old guy who just has some Bitcoin, stuff like that. But only 20% are not even do that decentralized, and that's even counting in people who might just have a MetaMask or stuff like that. So the actual people trading and doing decentralized stuff, it's super small compared to the actual crypto business. And from that perspective, centralized exchanges come into place to bring you in contact with the product, contact with your project and stuff like that. So we also have our launch pad, so it brings in the eyes on your project. You can launch it on our exchange, and if it gets listed, like we have 25 million users. So it brings a lot of eyes to the project. So I think it's definitely a next step for people who want to go from decentralized to centralized. Yeah, we talk onboarding as well. It brings in people, they check out the project, even if it's a decentralized focused project. How do you bring those users, or how do you bring new eyes to your project? And I think that's definitely the way to go, to kind of funnel them to what your project is, or even bring them to the decentralized side. I think it's not something like or.
Mhm.
I think there's definitely room for both. And like I said, like the space, we tend to forget it sometimes, like living in this bubble, like, okay, crypto is huge, but it's still quite tiny. And the decentralized side is super tiny compared to the whole as well. So like it's good to have an idea of ownership, this kind of stuff, and exchanges. But from that perspective, exchanges are actually even, you can do fractionalized reserves on an exchange. That's what the whole FTX and that stuff, that was good that we had that out there. But we have proof of reserves, like we have 300% of the total reserves of what you have on the exchange. So people are actually safer on an exchange than in a bank. Like you never, like I can't talk obsoletes, but in that space, like we're not allowed to play with your money and to make it disappear. And on a bank, you're just insured to up to 100K. So in the end, it's better to be at an exchange. And that's in the crypto perspective, it's that people always start with a centralized exchange. Like, I don't know anybody, like you need it anyway for fiat on and off ramp. Like, I don't know anybody in the space that goes like, I just started out with a MetaMask wallet and that's it. So it's definitely what you need as a project to bring eyes to your project. And yeah, also to have the users to actually bring it to the decentralized side, if you want per se.
Yeah, I think for a project to succeed and to hack growth quickly, being able to access an existing user base can be massive. And by listing on a centralized exchange, like you said, Bitget have 25 million users. So by providing accessibility to 25 million users, potentially they work with you a little bit closer and you push them, you give them a bit of marketing material, which puts their project in front of those 25 million users. It can be a really big growth lever for a project. And like you mentioned, there's no reason as to why a project cannot assist and serve the decentralized community and also the centralized community. There's, like you said, I think, again, you mentioned around 80% of people trade through exchanges, centralized wise, and 20% are decentralized. Whether those numbers are 100% correct or they're there or thereabouts, it still shows that there is a need to have some form
Yeah,
of
I
list.
think last time I checked, there was like 40 million people that have a decentralized wallet so it was around 10% of the 400 million people in crypto. So that's 40 million is a lot. But if you think about that, what the potential would be of your project if it's only listed on a decentralized exchange, it would not make sense for you to, if you want that growth, if you want people to actually get involved with your project, to check it out, to not go the centralized way as well.
Yeah, and it's always good to keep multiple options. It's always good to, you don't have
Definitely.
to choose one or the other. Like we have the luxury
No,
here where you can list on maybe 4 or 5 centralized exchanges, but then also be visible on all of the dexes as well. There's no reason, the more routes that you have that you're offering people to kind of get into your project, the better. I mean, I think that
definitely.
kind of
Yeah.
speaks volume.
Yeah, from this perspective, like you see that, Uniswap, 1inch, like these kind of tokens, like it is a decentralized exchange. It's available on all centralized exchanges. So I think the overlap is not something of or. I think you need to realize that decentralization still needs a lot of growth, and it goes most of the times to centralized exchanges. And there's not a real disadvantage to that, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Brilliant. Look, Conrad, I really appreciate you coming on. I think there's a lot of value in this for people that are in
Thanks.
business development, are looking to just grow their project in general, or founders and builders thinking about exchanges and wanting to learn more about that business. I think it's been really, really useful. Again, Magnet, we have our own our ecosystem. And again, if you're a project that's listening to this and you're thinking, I want to talk to Conrad about Bitget and maybe how they can assist my project, then cool, reach out. I'm sure Conrad would love to have a conversation with you.
Definitely.
And yeah, aside from that, I guess check Bitget out. We'll put a link around here somewhere so you can do that. Conrad, is there anything else kind of burning on your mind that you want to get out before we close off? Or
As you just said, like I'm reachable. Yeah, maybe I'll put my name, LinkedIn somewhere around there. You can always contact me. Happy to chat. Happy to help. Even if you're a person that has no idea how to get a job in this space, stuff like that. I love working in it myself, and that's something that I want to also add to people. Like if you really passionate about it, if you like this, there's a job for everybody out there. And that's yeah. And second, like, yeah, working with Jake, also Bitget, like if you want to get in touch with us, reach out. Always happy to help.
perfect. Brilliant. Well, look, man, thank you again for coming on. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Magnetic Growth Podcast.
Yes, yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. I'm sure we'll have to do this again when Bitget progresses even more. Maybe we'll do it in person next time.
Yeah, would love to. Cool.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you everyone for listening. And again, thank you, Conrad, for coming on and sharing some wisdom. Have a good day.
Cheers.